So you want to define the characteristics of your ideal client. And a lot of times when I talk about ideal client, people think that I'm saying any client who you can provide services to. But knowing your ideal client is more so about you than the client themselves. So if you think about it, like when you're dating, you're creating a dating profile. Who do you want? Who are you interested in dating? It has nothing to do with that other person. It's what makes sense for you. What are you looking for? Because if you just open it up and you just say, I'm looking for a boyfriend or a girlfriend, that's anybody. That's general. Anybody can fall in that. The same way, if you say, I'm looking for clients who are veterans, or I'm looking for clients who I can build Medicaid for, that's general. You need to be more specific. So my ideal client for my day program was someone who needed life skills. So yes, I had Medicaid approval. Yes, I could accept private pay clients, but I knew that I wanted a client who needed life skills. And that was my ideal client. And it was because of me. It was because I had spent 13 years in this field, and I saw that a lot of developmentally disabled adults lacked life skills. And so it meant something to me being able to go into their homes and offer them cooking skills and things like that and see it make a difference in their lives, being able to work at day programs. And I didn't just do arts and crafts with my individuals, but I helped my individuals learn life skills. It was rewarding to me. So before I met any client, I knew that I wanted somebody who needed life skills because that's where my passion lies. So I want you to think about who your ideal client is. And I'm going to give you a second to jot some things down. And then I'm going to ask you to share so that we can build up as we go along in the information. Don't think general, think specific. Think about what your passion is, who you would like to help. And when you think about your ideal client, think about their characteristics. How old are they? Where do they live? What's their income? Jot some things down, whatever come to mind when you think about that person. My favorite thing to say is you only need one client to make millions. And it speaks to the fact that you only need one ideal client. Once you build a strategy to get that one client, it's going to work every single time. So I'll give you a minute or so to jot some things down, and then I'm going to ask somebody to share. And as we continue to go over this, you're going to build on top of that. If you're just joining us, we're talking about an ideal client today. And I'm giving a few minutes for you to jot down things about your ideal client, things about you, like your passion, and who you're willing to serve, who you're looking to serve, rather. And when you think about that person, what comes to mind? I gave the example of my day program. I knew I wanted to help people who needed life skills. Anybody ready to share?
Hi, Carmela. Hi, everybody.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. I'm not sure if you all can see me because I'm like driving, but
we can see
I can take my camera. Okay, good. So, my ideal client, I'm a registered nurse. I've taken care of many, many, many people, But my very, very first job at 18 years old was taking care of dementia patients.
Mhm.
So I was 18 taking care of patients on a locked unit. And so that's who stole my heart years ago when I entered the field of taking care of people. So as a home care agency, I'm going to focus on my Alzheimer's and dementia patients, and having, building or having more people go and support the family for companionship, because I know they are very difficult to take care of. They're forgetful, they fight, sometimes very combative. And so those people they need to see the same person all the time taking care of them. And so they stole my heart years ago because I learned how to take care of that actual population of people. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm like mainly focusing on.
Okay. Thank you. And that's good how you're able to connect because you're choosing an ideal client who you have history with. You're able to connect that story. And so when you pitch your services to people, you're gonna be able to share that experience. You're gonna be able to say they stole my heart and different things that you went through. And that's what's gonna help you in marketing to get that client. And that's why it's so good to make sure that you pick a client that you're connected with. Anybody
This
else
is
want to share?
this
Oh, go
is
ahead.
Michelle. I'm a nurse also. I'm an LPN, and honestly, that's the same direction that I want to go. My bonus mom and my mother-in-law both have dementia, and when I worked hands-on, when I did hands-on, my favorite unit was the dementia unit,
Yeah,
and so yeah, they stole my heart too. Plus, with the medications and all of this stuff, that's going to be a very big population.
yeah.
So that's my goal is to do an early stage, mid stage, um, dementia patients, and still also provide, resources and care for the caregivers, their family also. So yeah, I'm right there with her with that.
Yeah, good. That's good. And I like what you said that you're going to provide resources for the caregivers also. That's something that's going to make you stand out day one, because that is a huge population that needs support, not just the person who needs you directly, but that indirect people who need your support. And that's a way you can get in front of your ideal client is going through that back door of doing support groups or different things like that for the caregivers. That's good. Anybody else?
I was going to share what I'm looking at is working with individuals that are anywhere from 50 and above that have gone through any type of rehab or they're having post surgery or getting them prepared for surgeries, and also working with them on life skills as well. It has been in the last probably 6 months, I've had to do this for a couple of different people. And I realized there was a need for it, especially when I was looking at people getting released and hearing people saying they didn't know what was going to help them when they got home. So I was like, okay, this is another need. And I didn't even, sometimes you don't even know what your thing is until it just comes upon you. And I've realized I really have a soft spot for older people, and the things that they go through, especially when they don't have a close family net, that can be in pocket for them. So that's my goal, is to do that and provide things that are continue to have family engagement and keep the family being consistent and bringing them into the fold, so they can understand what's going on and understand why it is such a need.
Mm-hmm. And the fact that you said that you just over the last, I think you said 6 months,
Mm-hmm.
working with different people, jot down things that said. You said like people were saying they didn't know what they were going to do next and things like that. That's the stuff that you want to put in your marketing. So many times people make brochures and they just say like the basic stuff. But when you tell a story and you could connect your person, because they're going to get 10 different brochures, they're going to be shopping around. But when you share your story, oh, I was working with different people and they told me different things about how they didn't know what they was going to do and they was worried about their loved ones and so on and so forth. It's going to make you stand out. And that's the thing, like I said, people miss out on in marketing because they're just making general stuff and people don't know nothing about you. They don't know nothing about your agency. Just because your doors are open don't mean that you care about the individuals. So you definitely want to tell your story.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else want to share before we move on?
Hi,
Hi, Jasmine.
how you doing? I want to share my story.
Okay.
Okay, and good afternoon to everyone. For me personally, I want to help those with limited mobility, from people who have had extreme accidents, such as like stroke patients or anything else in life that may have happened to them that took away their everyday mobility. I think it's important because those people often sit at home and they feel invisible because they can't live the life that they used to live. So I just want to help them, with ADLs basically, and assist them even with transportation issues, washing clothes, cooking dinner, all the things they could normally do for themselves that they can't anymore.
Okay. Thank you. And like you said, they feel invisible. Something like that is a good tagline. Like, these individuals feel invisible, but we see you. Something like that is a good tagline. Mine's for my day program. I told you I wanted to help with life skills because a lot of day programs were only doing arts and crafts. So my tagline was, our craft is more than arts and crafts. And something like that gets people in because it's a conversation starter, and to say something like, we see you, I know you feel invisible, but we see you, like something like that is huge in your marketing efforts because it's not what the average person is saying. So let's keep going. And you want to know their psychographics as well. And this is going a bit deeper. This is talking about their beliefs, their values, their personality. So this is going a step further than just saying what are their characteristics, their age and their race and things like that. So when you think about this, like I said, you're talking about their values. So when I use my day program as an example, I knew my individuals wanted independence. They wanted independence. That was something they valued. Independence, being able to do things for themselves. They were developmentally disabled, and so they needed a place where they felt heard, like you said. They felt seen. They knew that they had a place here, and I would show them how to do things on their own that would give them a sense of life back. So think about things like that. Take a minute, jot down what's some things that speak to your ideal client's personality, their values. Jot some things down. I knew that my individuals, they were seeking independence. They wanted to build on relationships. A lot of times they were just at home with caregivers. They didn't go out in the community. I knew that was something they valued. And whenever you're ready, somebody can share and we'll just keep going.
Um,
I'll share a little bit. One of the things that I know is it goes into what you said earlier about them wanting their independence, because I even noticed that in my own dad. He doesn't really want you to do stuff for him, but he needs your help.
Yeah.
So it's having to know and get to know that person well enough where you know how to still help them without them feeling like you took something away from them. Because that really sends them to another place sometimes. And the major thing is just looking at some of the individuals that are even in my own neighborhood that I've noticed, it's companionship. I know you almost want to run in the house some days because one of the people catch you outside, you're gonna be out there for an hour. But it's okay though. And that too lets me know that I'm going into the right thing because I had a patience for it, where other people would drive them crazy. But I know that that's one of the things too, is going to be a lot about companionship as they're continuing to mature because I don't like to call people old, as they continue to mature through the remainder of their journey.
Yeah, that's good. Anybody else? So the next one is needs and pain points. What do your person need? I knew for my people, like I said, I was doing life skills. They needed fire safety. They didn't know what to do. I was working with developmentally disabled adults. A lot of times they didn't know what to do if a fire happened, or they didn't know that fire was even something to be worried about, concerned about, that you can catch something on fire. So we went over things like that. Money management was a huge factor. They didn't know how to count money. Nobody really took time to show them these things because they always had a payee or somebody who did these things for them. Just simply because they was developmentally disabled, they felt like, oh, you cannot handle your funds, and never took the time to even try to teach them to do so, or even show them while they're doing it, show them like, this is what I'm doing, this is why I'm doing it. They just gave them that title and said like, oh, you're developmentally disabled, you can't do this, you know? So I made sure I incorporated things like that. Cooking skills, you know, all the different life skills that I chose for my agency, and I chose to use when people came to tour and to talk about, was things that I knew that my ideal client was missing out on, their needs, their pain points. Transportation, a lot of times they couldn't drive themselves, and they needed a place that could provide transportation to them. And I knew that that was one of their pain points and needs. So I knew to provide that ahead of time, to offer that, to make sure that was a part of my program, to make sure that once they came and they asked me about it, I already had it available to them. So think about needs and pain points, jot some things down, and then I'm going to ask some people to share. And this is all beneficial when you create your marketing, because like I said, this is the stuff that's going to make you stand out. And when you spend time developing these things out and really thinking about your person, it's going to eliminate you being in front of the wrong person. It's going to eliminate you being in front of the wrong person, but also being in front of the right person and saying the wrong thing. Because it don't matter how good, if I have a good program, a good service, and you speak English and I'm standing in front of you speaking Spanish, it's not going to do nothing for you. It's the same thing. So go ahead, and whenever someone's ready to share, you can just hop on.
I think the main one that you just talked about is going to be really big in the community that I'm going to be supporting. And that is going to be providing them some way to even get to the grocery store.
Yeah.
You know, because, you know, they are using some of these services, but people are bringing them things they really don't want. Mm-hmm. And it's taking away some of that independence again from them. And it's making them more dependent on things that they would prefer not to be, instead of making them still feel like they have some life left in them. So that's going to be one of the big selling points that I'm going to be talking about too, is that I'll care them for an office visit if the family isn't able to take them, or if they need to go to the grocery store, even if they want to go get their own new shirt, that kind of thing, in order for them to still feel engaged in the community. I mean, even take them to a movie, those kind of things.
Yes. And being able to show that you do that when somebody come and ask about your service. I had activity calendars, more so than brochures. I had things like that. Activity calendars showing you we really getting out, showing you we're going to the movies and in the community, and going to the bank to show you how to set up an account. Even if you can't set up an account, just so you know that this is something that's accessible to you, you know? And with what you said about the grocery store, And in my residential program, I had some clients who could go to the grocery store and the caregiver took them to the grocery store. And then I had some people who couldn't, but I had them write out their shopping list and we did online shopping where they was able to still pick out their things. So sometimes it's just a matter of no, you can't go because you're unable to get out the house. They might have had behavior issues and things like that. But how can I help you with this independence? Anybody else want to share? Okay. And as you're doing this, as you're meeting with different clients, as they're asking the same questions, because a lot of times, because you're talking to the same people, you're going to get a lot of different questions, which makes sense that you shouldn't want to talk to different clients that aren't your ideal client, because then you're going to start just jotting down anything. But if you keep getting in front of your ideal client and they're asking you the same question, do you have transportation? Do you have a caregiver who could take us grocery shopping? When they keep asking you the same question, to provide that, that's something to look into. That's something to be able to provide. How can you provide this service? Is this a service that you can get reimbursed for? How? What do I need to do? What certification should I get so I can do this? When you get in front of your ideal client, it allows you to talk to that same individual over and over and over again to see what do they need so you can add that to your service. And then you're going to keep refining it so that the next time you get in front of your ideal client, you already have it in your package and you can set it up to wheel them in right away. Set clear goals. What's the goal? You need to know. That's why I do not just do ideal client strategies day one. Even though a lot of people always say, oh, I don't have any clients, something wrong with my marketing. Can you help me with marketing? It's so much more than just knowing about what clients you want and things like that. You need to know what's your goal. Because if your goal is to get people into the day program, then you need to know, okay, the people in the day program need transportation. So knowing your goal ahead of time help you know what else you need to add. How long do you want this person? If you're doing day services, you're doing home care, do you want a 24/7 client home care? Or are you okay doing just somebody who got 3 hours a day? I work with individuals, and that's a huge factor because people don't know who their ideal client is or what their goals are. They'll accept anybody. And they'll take, just like the example I gave you yesterday, when my client, he was transporting people who was going any amount of miles just because he had a transportation service. He thought anybody who needed transportation was his ideal client. And that wasn't true. He needed to know that the goal was to go the shortest amount of miles so he can get the same rate of the person who's going 100 miles. So you need to know your goals. And you need to know all this beforehand so you're not chasing the wrong client. So think about that. Think about what's your goals. What's your end goal for your client? Once you get this client in your program, what's your goal? What's your goal for that person? What do you want to do with that person? I knew people who came into my day program, I was going to provide them transportation. So I already had sheets where they signed a waiver to get transportation because I knew this ahead of time. Knowing what you're going to do, knowing what your goals are, help you be prepared. When they came in, I knew that I wanted to take them into the community. I had field trips planned. So I had the activity calendar and they signed off on it when they did their onboarding because I knew that that's what I was doing in my program. I knew what my goals were. I knew how many people I wanted in my program. There were individuals that could have been a 1 to 12, 1 to 3, 1 to 6. I knew which ones I wanted in my program based off of how many employees I had. In the beginning, I had a lower amount of employees. So I needed people who were a 1 to 12 so that one person could work with 12 people rather than me give that one person to 3 people and only be able to have 3 people in my program. You need to know your goal. Anybody want to share?